Never seen a lame man walk. Never heard a dumb man talk. Never seen a blind man see. I promise you will change his name. Never seen a cancer dead. Never seen all the poor get fed. Never seen a prisoner set free. I promise you will change his name.
Hey everybody! It is Labor Day. Labor Day. I hope you're having a great Labor Day wherever you're at. Hopefully you got the day off. If you don't have the day off, then sorry. Anyway, this is the Big C, Bigger T podcast. I'm your boy, Travis Johnson, Bigger T, and I'm joined as always by my man, the one with the plan. Don't call him Stan. I'd get into that all the time.
Yeah.
You
got to come up with a new stick, my man.
I know. I need a new one there. So anyway, Clint Clark, Big C.
Yeah.
How are you, buddy?
Man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling refreshed. Wrapping up the old vacation.
You've been off for a few days, hadn't you?
Oh, I've been in Las Vegas, Nevada.
In Vegas.
Yeah, I like, we've talked about on the podcast, I like doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So the biggest Jiu-Jitsu tournament in the world is in Las Vegas, Nevada. Master Worlds done by IBJJF, which stands for International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation.
Oh, okay.
Yes, a little bit of knowledge for you. So, but unfortunately, as you know, Travis, I'm dealing with an injury right now, and it's best that I don't roll. So I'd already bought my plane tickets, everything, paid for the house. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go just enjoy Vegas. I had a teammate that was competing, so I went and watched him grapple. Other than that, I really got to get out and like enjoy it and not have to worry about, I better watch what I eat tonight. I had food poisoning last year, so how did that work out? But it was like, I don't have to worry about, okay, this is too heavy. I don't need to eat this. Like, no, I can, like, if I want to eat a hot dog on my way to the tournament, I can eat a hot dog on my way to the tournament.
Yeah. Down that dog.
Yeah, just down it. I mean, I was like, but my goodness, I think I gained 30 pounds while I was gone. So if I'm looking tubbier on this podcast, it's because
now, you went to eat at some epic places. Now tell us some. I want to hear. I don't care about it. I want to hear about the food.
Yeah. Okay. Not one. I went to Hell's Kitchen because, as you know, I've told y'all, I'm a big time Gordon Ramsay fan. I like watching his shows. But so went to Hell's Kitchen, had the beef Wellington. It was spectacular.
The beef Wellington?
Yeah, they have like a main, there's a fancy name for it, but it's like the signature dishes on the show. So I got that. It was a 3-course meal. Got scallops. And I'm not a big seafood guy.
They don't, Clint, one thing I'm worried about now.
Yeah.
Those two things you just mentioned, they don't serve those at the Wagon Wheel in Greenbrier.
They don't. I mean, they're bringing out all this fancy food. Like, this is a potato puree, and this is on pea puree. Y'all got waffle fries?
Puree.
You got waffle fries?
It's a puree. Yeah, it's the waffle fry puree.
So we did that on night one, and then which was just, and it was a big deal to me. Like, it was cool to go to Hell's Kitchen and do that. Just being and man, it is one of them things you expect it to, you're used to going places when they're busy and it being a long wait, but that's a freaking machine, man. I mean, it's like boom, boom, boom. I think by the time we sit down and the time I walked out the door, it's probably 30, 45 minutes.
Really?
I mean, it was, and that was, getting appetizers. I mean, neither me or my wife either one drink. So it just, you don't have to worry about that. But so that saves us a lot of money and a lot of time. So we so we got the scallops, got the beef Wellington, and then the sticky toffee pudding.
That just sounds fun.
It was more of a cake consistency, but it was spectacular.
Nice.
It was spectacular. Then my buddy competed, and we went to this restaurant called the Blueberry Hill Cafe, which we'd had last year.
Mm.
I got the pigs in the blanket. Yeah, pigs. Okay, but it's pretty much like a sausage link.
Yeah,
like ground sausage, like the kind you find in patties, wrapped in a pancake. You dip it,
deep fried, or you dip it in stuff.
Yeah, you dip it in that syrup. Now the next morning is become a tradition, and me and Johnny, my wife, we all just absolutely love this place. And we had new friends with us, first time they'd ever been to Vegas, and we got to introduce you to Hash House a Go-Go. It is my friend Johnny's Graceland.
Okay.
It is. And the first year we went, they had researched it, and we went there, and I had a red velvet waffle then.
No.
Now this time I got a vanilla waffle. It's called the tractor driver breakfast. Scrambled eggs, that sausage, and then a vanilla waffle.
Wow.
My wife got a churro waffle.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, it's real good. Now you can get that either breakfast with syrup, or you can get it with ice cream, like a dessert.
That'd be almost like cinnamon toast crunch in a waffle.
It is so good. It is so. See, and I felt weird because their biscuits and gravy looked really, really good too. But it's like, man, do I really want to come all the way to Las Vegas and eat biscuits and gravy?
Yes.
And I honestly wish next time I'm going to get some. I'm going to do next time I go, I'm going to get the biscuits and gravy just because I can.
Yeah. Hey, eat what you can. You don't eat so much at one setting, so you know.
Yeah, and then I went to this little quaint place for breakfast called Panera Bread a couple times.
You love Panera Bread.
I do love. They closed the one down in Conway, and no one was more devastated about it than me because I'd eat there 2 or 3 times a week.
Panera Bread, if you're out there, you need to sponsor this podcast because I was your biggest fan.
Yeah, or at least open the Conway location back up.
Yeah, he'd be a happy camper.
Yeah, I'd be doing flips down the hallway. Y'all did that.
That's right. Well, Clint, it was my weekend was pretty pretty normal. Went and called my second game. I got to experience small time football a little bit as a radio broadcaster. I had to broadcast from the visitor stands. There's no room for me at the end in the press box.
Oh wow.
They were like, well, you can broadcast from the roof if you want. I said, yeah, I'm not a roof broadcaster. They said, well, there's a plug-in on the visitor side. And I went over there, and like the visitor stand had trees growing out from underneath the stands.
Where was this at again?
It was at Murfreesboro.
Okay.
They had a pretty nice stadium. I mean, they had a lot of seats for a small school, but anyway, so I'm the radio man for Bearden. Bearden's on a 0-15 losing streak. The game was a 0-0 tie.
Hey, do you ever feel like Rob Schneider in Necessary Roughness?
Yeah.
Just
sort of, yeah.
Fumblerooski, Fumbalaya.
Well, that's this game though, man, Clint. The thing is, these boys they're playing so hard. And
it's easy to root for a team when you can tell like maybe they're not as talented and not as good as somebody else, but they just play their little hearts out.
Well, and last year they didn't play hard. This is a team that they had guys quitting in the middle of the game, stuff like that. And so these guys are playing their hearts out. And the first game they lost, but they came out in the second half and won the second half. So that, after having a real bad second quarter. Well, this game, I mean, it was a dogfight defensively, and both teams just kept making mistakes. Fumbles, Bearden had a long run and a guy, there was a holding call, brought it back, just all kinds of stuff, right? Finally, Murfreesboro gets the ball, and by the way, at the end of the first half, Bearden made a goal line stand and kept them out of the end zone to keep it 0-0. I'm thinking we're going to be there till today. Like I'm thinking, oh, we're going to be here through Memorial Day. These guys are going to go in overtime.
Oh, wow.
None of them's going to be able to score. Anyway, Murfreesboro finally punched one in with less than a minute left. And then Bearden made a little run down the field, but couldn't make it. So anyway, but it was interesting because I'm calling from the visitor stands, just sitting, top row, 50-yard line. I got people from my church sitting beside me, helping me. I was by myself calling, so I had a guy helping, like, tell me numbers of people and stuff like that. So anyway, it was an interesting deal. But here's the bad thing. I'm about 45 minutes from Arkadelphia. I hadn't eaten yet. So I'm thinking, I live in South Arkansas. I don't live in Conway. We don't have Wendy's. We don't have Burger King. Like the closest Wendy's and Burger King is an hour from me, Cliff.
Right.
Okay. So I don't get those on a regular basis.
Yeah, there's no Bite Squad where you live.
So I'm thinking, right where I get into Arkadelphia, there's a Wendy's. And I love their spicy chicken sandwich. One of my all-time favorites. Hadn't had one in a long time.
I thought you were the chicken cordon bleu guy.
Huh?
I thought you were a chicken cordon bleu
That's
guy.
at Arby's. That's at Arby's.
My bad. I get.
That's okay. Arby's would have been closed. They closed earlier. But anyway, so I'm thinking, I'm going to stop there. I get there. I pull in line. There's a line wrapped around the building on the drive-thru. And I'm like, oh, I don't care. I'm going to wait. Okay. I'm about halfway home then, or I'm about an hour from home then. And then, so I'm sitting there and all of a sudden the line goes away. They close. I look at the clock. It's 11 o'clock. They close with a line wrapped around the building. At 11 o'clock in a college town on a Friday night after their home team their team just played a game that night at home. I'm like, are y'all kidding me? You're closing at midnight? I mean, at 11? Burger King was closed. So I go to Taco Bell. It's last resort, right?
You wanted to live Moss, don't lie.
I want to live Moss. I ordered the little box they have right now, which is like a grilled cheese burrito something, right? Ordered a chicken grilled cheese burrito in their box. It comes with like a grilled cheese burrito, a chalupa, a taco, and nachos and a drink. I get to the window and they give me a bag full of stuff. And I'm like, this kind of looks like more, but there's a whole line because everywhere else is shut down. And so I'm not wanting to count everything, right there in front of them. So I just pull on forward and I drive down the road a little ways and I stop and I start looking. I'm like, there's like 20 things in here. I think, Clint, they got rid of all the stuff they had cooked and couldn't get rid of that day. Because I had like soft tacos, I had my food that I ordered.
Right.
I had like an extra burrito. I had all this different stuff. That stuff doesn't keep.
Can I tell you what happened, Travis?
Okay, what happened?
I'm going to tell you what happened.
Okay.
They looked at your stature.
Yeah.
And they're like, this boy hungry.
That's right.
This boy hungry.
Well,
we got all this leftover food. What can we do? Just give it to this boy.
Yeah. Well, it ended up in the dumpster at the school that I work at because I drove right by there, and I ate a couple things. I'm like, man, I ain't gonna take this home because cold Taco Bell is not that tasty.
Yeah, I disagree with you. I think Taco Bell, especially soft tacos, heat pretty decent.
Do they? Okay, well,
yeah, that's my opinion. You take it for what? Now, for those of you listening, let us know: is Taco Bell reheatable? And I'll be reheating a lot of things. The air fryers changed the game.
Well, see, I don't have an air fryer, so yeah, it could.
You need to get on my level, son.
I need to. Okay,
because them things, air fryers change the game. It is the greatest invention in the history of inventions.
Oh yeah, well, that's what I hear, and I need to. Now, we got a lot to talk about, Clint. We probably jibber jabbered a little too much here. So let's talk first of all our holy shnikes moments.
Woo!
And you have one. That happened to you
Yeah.
It was probably a little shocking.
It was out there, man. It was out there.
Tell us about, you went to a ghost town?
Yeah, it's called Cryolite. I guess what they did is an old mining town. It's about an hour and a half outside Vegas. It's like 4 miles from the California border, pretty much in Death Valley. Like you're driving, you drive past the prison, the Air Force base that's butted up against Area 51. So you're going for a ways out there. So we got out of this ghost town because Johnny, the guy that owns the jiu-jitsu gym I go to, he goes out there to coach, and I was along for the ride this time. But he likes photography, and he wanted to try his hand at astrophotography. And we went Red Rock Canyon, and was taking pictures out there, kind of at dusk and dark. But there were still cars driving up that road. We're like, let's go out to this ghost town. We'll get some astrophotography, see the ghost town. Beautiful drive, watching the sunset down like over the mountains. So it's dark. It is pitch black, but we're still able to see and do photography. So there was only 2 other cars out there, and they were kind of hanging out in this area. But he wanted to go back up there and take pictures. Is where they were. Like, okay, well, the only people out there are still them, and they were doing photography as well. What I didn't know that once it got dark, they were going to do an artistic photo shoot.
Artistic photo shoot.
The ladies were no longer wearing clothes.
Oh, that kind of art.
Yeah, that kind of art. And it was just like, what? Like, I mean, the last thing you expect when you go out to the middle of freaking, like, literally, I couldn't have been more out in the middle of nowhere. If I'd have got murdered, it would have been a second before somebody found me.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. So we're pretty much in the middle of nowhere, and they're just doing this artistic photo shoot, and it's like our presence does not matter to them.
Yeah.
It's like, hey.
That's not something you happen upon in the wilds of Arkansas too much.
No, and it's no, and it's not like it wasn't like I was in actual Las Vegas, where you expect to see maybe some out there things.
Yeah.
I was pretty much in Death Valley, man.
Sort of at a touristy place, right?
Yeah, it was a touristy place. Of course, it was after dark.
Yeah. So
but you're driving out there. I mean, you're driving out there for a while, and I don't think there's too many people out there.
What if some dad who also likes to do photography, because everybody, there's lots of folks that get into photography nowadays. Yeah. And so what if some dad like had his family out there and like, hey kids, let's go take some pictures here. Your eyes.
Cover your eyes, kids. No, there's like, I wouldn't hardly get out of the car because there was a sign that says watch out for rattlesnakes.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, no. No.
Yeah.
I can't see either. This boy ain't getting bit.
Well, see, and that's one thing, moving down South Arkansas, we have a lot more rattlesnakes down here. So I've learned to worry about those more than living up in Greenbrier. We copperheads were the worst up there. But yeah. But out there, rattlesnakes are serious business.
Now, the day I was out there was the hottest day in September on record ever in Death Valley.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's hot.
Was, like, we went out to the Hoover Dam at some point, and it was just too hot to do anything because all that concrete. It was just.
Did you find somebody that was saying it wasn't me, it was the one-armed man?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't get out of the car. I mean, it's like, okay.
Yeah. Stops water. Way to go.
Yeah, but it was an impressive structure, but it's like it was too hot.
Yeah. Well, I got a couple of Holy Shnikes moments, and it has to do with high school football. Arkadelphia 4A school, who's really good. They beat Camden Fairview last week. They were playing, which is a 5A school. They were playing, which Camden Fairview beat El Dorado this week, by the way. They were playing Hot Springs at Henderson State University because Arkadelphia's field's getting to new turf. Arkadelphia comes from behind. Now, Hot Springs is coached by one of the best coaches I've ever seen coach. in high school ball. Coach Burnett was defensive coordinator for Camden Fairview, and came from, like, I was skeptical when they hired him because he came from Gurdon as just a position coach. They hired him as defensive coordinator at a 5A school that was in the running for state championship, and he transformed that defense and they won the state championship a lot because his defense was so good.
Right.
Well, anyway, he's the head coach at Hot Springs, and he's, that's a team that they're on the come up. Arkadelphia's got a young coach, Trey Shucker, who's a great young coach. Anyway, Arkadelphia makes a comeback, scores with no time left on the clock, decides to go for two at home. They throw it to a young man who's, I forget his first name. I'm sorry, I'm not saying his first name, but his last name is Bab because he's a friend of mine's son. He's kind of not the biggest guy, not the fastest guy, but one of those sure hand good receivers for Arkadelphia. He catches the 2-point conversion. They win on the big comeback. So just a walk-off win, gutsy call, going for two into the game. Then Greenwood is playing. They're behind. If you haven't heard, Clint, Greenwood has a quarterback.
I have heard this.
That's a 9th grader. His name is Kane Archer. He's playing on the varsity team. He's being recruited by, let's see, Arizona, Arkansas, Rice, Florida State, Hawaii, Louisville, Michigan, and
no, Arkansas has offered him, correct?
Yes, all these people have offered him.
I mean, so pretty much he's going to be able to go wherever
Ole Miss, Missouri, A&M.
Yeah.
As a 9th grader, Clint.
Right, yeah.
However, he's not the starter.
Well,
this is Greenwood. They're a machine. They put out, they have players on the roster that could do great no matter what, right?
Yeah.
Well, something happens, and I'm not sure how Archer ends up in the game. I don't know if it was a coach's decision. I don't know if someone got hurt, whatever. But he ends up in the game at the end of the game, brings them back, and wins the game on a Hail Mary. But the Hail Mary, if you watch it, it's not just like they're running it like a Hail Mary. They're going down the sideline, but he throws it kind of early and catches the guy about the 5-yard line where he can come back to it. Like, it was a beautiful play. It was like him and the receiver knew what they were going to do.
Yeah.
The guy comes back to it and then runs it in for the touchdown for the game winner. Awesome.
I feel like it was probably a well-designed play because once you try to get to the end zone, knock it down, you throw it 10 yards, and then you've got a chance to just run it in. So
anyway, 2 great high school endings. Awesome place. Now,
speaking of great endings, how about them Hogs?
How about them Hogs, folks?
Yeah.
How about them Hogs? Now, Clint, here's the deal, okay? You don't have to go far. You look on Facebook and elsewhere, message boards. There's a lot of people unhappy with a lot of things with this win. How do you feel about it?
Them people need to shut up.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Dude. Okay, first off, that everybody's like, okay, Cincinnati's an FCS team. Cincinnati, yeah, they graduated 9 players. They did. They graduated 9 players in the NFL. It happens. They're not a top 4 team anymore. But Travis, do you think there's 20 teams in this country that are better than Cincinnati?
No.
Do you think there's 15 teams better than Cincinnati?
Probably not.
So, but I don't think you'd go 10 teams.
I think that very well could be their only loss of the year.
No, and it's going to be. They're anywhere between. This is not an AAC team. You know what I'm saying, or all whatever their conference is.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, this is I think if Cincinnati's in the Big 12 this year, even with Texas and Oklahoma, there's conversation about them being in the championship game. I think same thing if they're in the Pac-12. I think Cincinnati would probably finish 4th or 5th in the SEC West, in my humble opinion. That's if they can hold up against the grind.
Yeah.
You know, if we catch Cincinnati week 5, there's a chance that they've gelled, but there's also a chance they're beat up from they're a little more beat up because they don't have the depth Arkansas does. But Cincinnati is a very, very good, very well coached football team. And I agree. Turner, like Sam Pittman, when he saw Cincinnati was on schedule, he's like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why are we doing that? Yeah. Because Cincinnati wasn't Cincinnati when you scheduled Cincinnati.
Yeah.
These schedules done years in advance, and you probably thought it was a rent win.
Yeah.
It was not. It was one of the marquee games in college football.
Yeah.
I watched it in Las Vegas, Nevada. I really wanted to go down to Caesars Sportsbook and watch it there so I could watch people lose their minds with every play.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about the people chirping?
I think it's terrible. There's things to worry about, okay? And you know, last week, Clint, I Marco Polo'd our little group, and I was starting to worry. Yeah, I had a worry.
Yeah.
I had a thought jump in my mind, you know, because, you know, I mean, with everything, we overanalyze stuff, and I was overanalyzing a little bit, maybe not too much, because I may have been right about some of it. But one thing I kept hearing was these receivers are so good, and our defensive backs are good, right? But then the people that I thought were going to go to the top at defensive back, I still saw weaknesses in our defensive backfield. Okay. Even with when we saw who was starting everything, I'm thinking, okay, I know those guys. I still wonder if our defensive backs. And so I started thinking, are receivers really as good as what we're seeing? Or is it because they're going against defensive backs that aren't that good? Okay, that was my worry last week.
Right, yeah.
Now, for the receivers, I liked what I saw.
Oh, I loved what I saw.
I think Hazelwood looked good. I thought Thompson, even though he didn't get, I wish he would have got more balls to him. But Thompson looked like he was playing like a man possessed. I thought Matt Chandler looked good out there. Okay, that first play, I'm like, yeah, throw him the ball more.
Yeah, Landers definitely.
Landers, I called him Chandler, didn't I? Landers, I'm like, yeah, throw that dude the ball more. He looks like a SEC receiver.
And that's not it. And that's just catches. I mean, you know, Trey Knox's big run that he busted was because of a great block by Keytron Jackson.
Definitely.
The little things that don't show up in the thing. And then, you know, you saw Malik Hornsby on the field. He got a throwback, supposed to be a double pass. It wasn't there. They covered it well. He took off, made a good run.
And how many guys, Clint, would have went ahead and thrown that?
Oh, a lot. But that's the difference between having an actual quarterback over there and Trey Knox, or, you know,
that was a wonderful play. And I thought, and a couple other times Hornsby was out there, I thought he ran some good routes. I thought, I'm not too worried about the receivers. I think we're going to get more production out of it. I mean, KJ had good production anyway, right? But I think we're going to see more out of those receivers as the season goes on. Because let's not forget, this was the first game. We had first game last year against Rice. It took us a while to get going, right? And that was Rice. This was stinking Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I will admit, everybody
22 game non-bowl winning streak.
Yeah.
So they hadn't lost a game in 2 years that was not a bowl game.
That's right. Well, and here's the other thing. The other thing people are griping about are the D-backs, right? I thought our D-backs played pretty well.
I do too.
But I do think that is our weakest part of our team.
I would agree.
Because of speed. I don't think because of mentality. I don't think because of necessarily ability. I think against faster teams, and look, we played one of the fastest receiver corps Saturday that we're going to face all year. I mean, Alabama, Ole Miss, some of them are going to have fast receiving cores we're going to have to worry about. But they had two guys that their coaches say run 4.29s. Okay, now when they go to the combine, they're going to run like 4.39s or 4.4s, right?
Yeah, like 4.
But our D backs are going to run 4.6s at the combine or 4.5s at the combine. Okay, you can't tell me Hudson Clark's going to run in the 4.4s. You can't tell me McLaughlin. Okay, that was one thing. He did a great job on that interception, but he looked slow, Clint. He didn't look all that.
He got called. Now, I one thing, people love to hate on Hudson Clark. They really do.
Yeah,
Hudson Clark played a heck of a ball game.
he did. He did.
He played a heck of a ball game. I was really impressed with him. I think you saw a difference in the secondary once Catalan and Slusher went down.
You're right.
You didn't see those deep passes, beforehand. And hopefully, was there any word on the condition of them too?
No, Pittman doesn't give out a lot of stuff. But he just says we're hopeful is about all he says on them.
They could have torn ACLs. He's like, we're hopeful.
I'm worried about Catalan.
Yeah,
I'm worried about Catalan. I don't know. I may be wrong to worry, but I'm worried about him, and I'm worried about Slusher. That was a hard, that was rough looking. In fact, Pittman said he was really worried about it. Pittman ran out there to him and was checking on him on the field because it looked bad. When he went to tackle that guy, the way his head went sideways and stuff. Yeah. It looked kind of rough, but hopefully it's nothing serious. But he did say Isaiah Nichols is okay, that he'll be back. So, but Catalan and Slusher, they're just still waiting and seeing on them.
I tell you, but I did leave the game. Other than the secondary, feeling really good about the front or defensive front.
Yeah, the defensive front did a good job. I think we held them to like 3-something yards average rushing, something like that. And that's against an offensive line. Now
they were without their center.
Yeah, they lost their center right before the game. Like not long before the game.
Last week towards ACL, I believe.
Yeah, so that hurt them, but still, our defensive line looked pretty good. Terry Hampton had a great game. He did his job up front. He didn't. He had a couple big plays, but as far as stats wise, it wasn't a stat, pumping game. But he looked pretty good. Landers looked good. Jordan Dominic looked good.
Landon Jackson looked good.
Yeah.
Cam Ball had that one. He's like, y'all didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah, I know. That guy was hopping by him, and
he just kind of shrugged him off.
He's just reacting to him and knocked the guy down.
He played a good game too. He was eating some blocks.
Yeah.
The idea of what Arkansas wants to do on defense, especially, is they want those defensive linemen eating them blocks and let the linebackers make the play.
Well, and something we saw, Clint, we saw a lot more blitzing.
We did.
And I think that the reason is because I think Odom knew it was going to be hard for our defensive backs to stay with their receivers.
Yep.
And now we may say, well, if that quarterback would have just thrown them better, they would have got us several times. Well, that quarterback threw them bad because the defense was working together. We got pressure on him and caused him on a lot of those bad throws. He threw those too long or whatever because we were putting pressure on him because of the blitz. And so that was just smart defense by Odom. Another thing is we saw the 4-man front, Clint.
Yeah.
4-man front. And Cincinnati wasn't ready for that. The Fickle in his post-game press conference said they ran a different front than we were expecting. So he was expecting the 3-man with the umbrella coverage, like we saw last year a lot. And so I thought Odom called a great game. And I thought Bryles called a great game. But a lot of that too, I think, was KJ made some great decisions out there. For sure. If you're an Arkansas fan, you have to be happy with KJ right now, with where we stand with our quarterback.
Oh my goodness! Well, we already know I have a man crush on KJ Jefferson. Like he is.
He looked good, Clint. He
looked good. It's like KJ was not going to let us lose that game.
No,
he really wasn't. Man, the other one, just we were before the season, we were talking about Trey Knox, Jefferson to Knox could come the new Jefferson to Burks.
Yeah,
and I think you saw that. The best one that one he threw down the middle of the field. Trey went up and got. Yeah. I mean, it was for a first down.
Yeah,
it was just insane, an insane crowd.
You could tell he trusts Trey Knox.
Yeah,
and they talked about it in their post-game press conference too, because they were the two of the offensive guys they had in the post-game, and they talked about that he has trust there for him. I saw some trust between him and Hazelwood too.
I did too. And KJ made a couple bad throws down on the goal line. You could tell he was cramping, and he just wasn't.
Yeah,
he was off because this heat's been disrespectful the last few days. So I wouldn't read too much into that, but
yeah. Well, in the first game too, man, it's it was funny calling that high school game Friday night. They the Murfreesboro was playing their first game of the season, and their guys were cramping up like crazy. We were having to stop the game several times for them. That's just the way it is. That first game, you're exerting your body different than what you do during practice. And so cramps are a legit thing that happen in first games. So KJ had, a few cramps here and there, but he's going to get past that. And the guy hadn't taken a hit since last year. He hadn't taken a hit. They say that they hadn't been tackling in practice. And Clint, I'll be honest with you, when I was hearing that before the game, I was worried about how we would tackle. I thought our tackling was pretty good. I thought we tackled well, considering we haven't, they tackle an individual, but they haven't team tackled all practice, all fall. And because they want to keep everybody healthy. And I thought, well, however they're teaching tackling up there, they're doing it the right way, because the team tackled, they tackled pretty well. I think there was a couple times I saw some guys standing around when they should have jumped in to try to help bring a guy down. But I think that'll come, because last year you didn't see that.
No,
with Grant Morgan and Henry in there, you didn't see guys standing around, waiting for a guy to go to the ground. If he was still upright, there was somebody jumping in there to make sure he went to the ground. So, but anyway, I thought it was a good first game, Clint. I thought it was, a good game. Now let's talk about this. Who we do a player of the game,
right?
Now the obvious players of the game. Okay, if we were going to talk obvious players of the game, it's KJ and it's Bumper.
And you got to throw Trey Knox in the conversation too.
Yeah, I mean that's the obvious players of the game. So we don't do obvious.
I mean, sometimes we do. It depends on how lazy we're feeling.
Sometimes we do.
We've had a whole season to build this up. I'm not going obvious.
That's right.
No.
Well, I'm going to be on the edge of obvious, but anyway.
Okay. Well, I have two MVPs, Travis.
Okay.
And neither one of them are a person.
Okay.
My MVP are COVID years and transfer portal.
COVID years. Okay.
Yeah, because we wouldn't have bumper pullback if it was for COVID years.
That's true.
So I'm going to give a COVID year. You get a tip of the hat from me.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. Because before this season's done, bumper pull, barring injury, will be Arkansas's all-time leading tackler.
Yep. He was all over the place, man.
14 tackles. The other one, when I say transfer portal, the defense. Terry Hampton played a heck of a game.
Yeah.
Jordan Dominic played a heck of a game, had a big strip sack. And if they hadn't grabbed his legs, he might have had a sack scoop score.
Yeah.
Somebody just happened to grab his legs as he's picking the ball up. Other than that was the only thing between him and the end zone.
Yeah.
Then Landon Jackson come up big. Drew Sanders.
Hard to block, man.
Huh?
I watched him a few plays, and he's hard to block. Like, he may not have had the stats, but Landon Jackson is hard to block.
Yeah, and you could tell Drew Sanders come up huge.
Drew Sanders was fun to watch. You could tell he's still trying to figure out the defense a little bit. Once he knows it, like Poole knows it, he's going to be pushing like numbers like Grant was getting. I mean, he's and he's more athletic than either one of them.
The front seven, the talent level between this year and last year, and I know it should be the front six, it's just so vastly different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nobody loves Grant Morgan more than me.
Yeah.
Nobody loves Hayden Henry more than me.
Yeah.
I think as far as NFL prospects go, they'll probably both make great lawyers. I'm saying I don't think either one of them is going to be in the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't know if Grant made the Jaguars or not.
He made the practice squad, I think.
Practice squad. I do think, he may get a cup of coffee, but eventually, medical school is probably the route for him. And I hope he proves me wrong. Drew Sanders and Chris Pupaw are probably both NFL prospects.
Yeah.
I mean, legit NFL prospects, and you've got some NFL talent on that defensive line now. You got guys, they're gonna make money in the NFL, and I think you got that. And then that's not even talking about Hazelwood, Landers, just the wide receiver, the additions there. Just the transfer portal really helped us out. And I don't think Pittman tries to build a team out of the portal, but I think he's very selective about who he brings in.
Yeah.
And he's not going to bring guys in just to bring them in.
He's picking some good ones.
So
now my player of the game, I got to go with him because I've championed this guy.
You're going with Trey Knox, aren't you?
I'm going with Trey Knox, man. Look, part of it is, I'm going to be honest, man. I'm human. Part of it's just so I can say I told you so.
No, yeah.
But I've been saying it for a long time that I thought he was going to make a great tight end back when he was 215 pounds playing it. But I watched him block, and he used his hands well. He was a willing blocker. He just didn't have the meat in his butt to do it, okay? But he's out there. He's blocking well. Now, he didn't have one.
He did give up a sack.
Oh, he gave up a sack, Clint. That was ugly. I felt bad. He needed to get chewed out for that one.
He should have held, is what he should have done.
Yeah, that was bad. However, seeing the relationship that him and KJ have, they've both been there together. And just the fact, look, a lot of guys in his position, and I know it's been said by lots of people, would have transferred out. A lot of people in his position, he didn't get playing time at receiver. I'm off. Someone else will give me a chance at receiver. I'm 6'5". I was one of the top receivers in the country coming out of high school. I'll get somewhere else to play. He didn't. He stayed here, and he believes he can make money in the NFL playing tight end. He's totally sold out to playing tight end. He caught that jump pass. He said he didn't even see KJ. He just saw the ball coming in the air. He turned around and saw the ball up in there. He didn't even see it leave KJ's hand. and made a great play on it falling backwards. Okay, that wasn't an easy catch. Even though it was a short throw, I mean it wasn't easy. And then that run down the sideline showed he still got speed.
Yeah.
I
think Trey Knox may have made him some money yesterday.
Well, and we'll see what he does the rest of the season, but it was a great start for him.
No, it was a great. But let's talk about Trey Knox a little bit and why I'm a fan of his. Trey Knox was probably, out of Burks, all them guys, was probably the best looking receiver Chad Morris's last year.
Yep.
Then you go to his sophomore year. We're all expecting Trey Knox to take a huge step forward. He was probably the only guy that I'd say regressed in Pittman's first year.
Yeah.
He couldn't catch a cold.
Yeah.
He really couldn't. He had just a terrible sophomore year.
Yeah.
Burks and then Mike Woods kind of passed him by, and then Mike Woods ended up transferring. But you had other guys, Jackson, Warren Thompson, come in that kind of beat him out at wide receiver. And like you said, most guys would have transferred. But he's like, man, my size, he probably, and I still to this day will say Logan's got in his ear. Say you can make a lot of money at tight end.
Yeah.
And then so last year he just played it. It seemed like he played a little bit at the end of his sophomore year too, but wasn't a full-time move.
Yeah.
But I can't remember.
I think you did. Yeah, I think you did.
So, but you started seeing that, and it's like, okay, and I think he got in doing it and he got his confidence back. And I think that was huge, just getting his confidence back.
Yeah.
And then he's let's just see, the sky's the limit. Just like Pittman said, they got things to work on, but there was a lot of positives to take away. A lot of people want to focus on the negative, and that's just fans for you.
Yeah.
Don't make them bad fans. Don't make them good fans. It's just the fans.
Fanatics.
We worry. We take it personal. And so that was a crazy thing. And one of the things that me and you were talking about why receivers, you see the receivers, that's something you see in every game of college football now.
Yeah.
More. And I think the first time we really saw it at Arkansas was, and guys are doing this more and more, was Bobby Petrino. If you remember, Joe Adams was committed to go to USC and was going to play defensive back, going to play cornerback for him, if I remember correctly. Petrino comes in and goes, you're one of the best athletes in the state of Arkansas. I'll play you at receiver. Come on in.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't going to go play for Houston Nutt because Houston Nutt didn't throw the ball.
Yeah.
So, but you saw it about that time is when, about the Petrino era is when you started seeing like, okay, we're going to focus on putting these premier athletes on offense and defense. And that was about around the time you saw the change. It used to be in the day, like it would be unusual to have an athlete like Darren McFadden come in and not play him at safety.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Arkansas made a wise decision there, but
yeah, for sure.
Houston Nutt's like, no, you're going to tote that rock. So,
yeah. Well, Clip, now we got to look forward.
Yeah.
South Carolina's coming in. They beat Georgia State 35-14 this last week. Georgia State, they're not a juggernaut, but they're not bad.
We did play them last year.
They were, they're a decent team. Spencer Rattler was 23 of 37 with 2 interceptions, 227 yards, 1 touchdown. They had 2 running backs got most of their carries.
Right. I'm looking at, it looks like they had Lloyd had 11 carries for 30 yards, then Bell and McDowell both had 7 carries.
Yeah.
Now, Georgia State, if I'm not mistaken, they play the option, right?
I think so.
So, when you got a quarterback going 7 of 29, that either says a lot about your defense or a lot about their offense.
Yeah.
And you look at, they had 40 carries and 30 rushes and they lost. I think
here's the big thing here, though.
Go ahead.
South Carolina had 2 blocked punts, which Beamer is a special teams guy. His
Right.
dad, Beamer Ball, special teams are huge. Beamer was was the special teams coordinator at Georgia when Pittman was there, and Scott Fountain was the special teams analyst during that time. So Beamer is a big time special teams guy. Okay.
No, and I was just sitting here thinking that is going to be chess matches are always fun. When you watch like Barry Odom go against, any Levy, any of these great offensive minds that are in the SEC, O'Brien, we see Browse, having to go up against these top-notch defense coordinators we have in the SEC. It's a fun chess match.
Yeah.
Beamer versus Fountain.
Yeah.
Is going to be a fun chess match.
Yeah.
It is going to be, and like our good friend, I consider her a good friend now, Reed Bauer says, it is the biggest exchange in yardage.
Yeah.
Which is something I never heard, but you can tell like that's been beat in their heads, like how special teams are. So I'm looking forward to that chess match this week.
Well, and I'll tell you one thing that, and maybe it's because we spent time with him, talking to him. I wasn't impressed with our new punter.
Yeah, it was his first game.
It was his first game. He's a freshman. But I know part of it was his parents had traveled. That had to be part of it. If you're a coach, if it's close, you give the nod to that guy. He's getting to play against his brother. His brother hadn't seen his parents in 2 years. They get to see both their boys on the field at the same time. Yeah. However, of course, I'm not saying Pittman made the decision just because of that.
No.
He has a great leg, but I just didn't feel like we had the consistency that we get from Bauer.
No, and I agree, and I think I go back to when we had Coach Mullins on here, is when you have guys that know their role, and they step their role. That's how you win championships.
Yeah,
and I think you see that with Reed. Like Reed's fine holding, he's fine with doing whatever Reed needs to do.
Well, I messaged him after the game and I said, congrats on the win. I said, enjoy it. And get ready for those Gamecocks. And he messaged me back and said it was a great team win. And that's who that guy is.
Right. Yeah. No,
and I think that's who this team is.
I think
that's who Pittman has them, and that was obvious when you saw, you didn't get to watch any of the pregame SEC Nation stuff or anything, did you?
No, I mean, I got to see very little, just highlights that I'd seen. I didn't get to watch any of it, really.
Listen, Clint, the national media folks and the SEC media folks that are coming in are loving Arkansas. Yeah. They're loving Sam Pittman. They're loving Hunter Yurachek. They're loving what they see when they get up to Arkansas, and they're seeing the fans. They're seeing everything. That's the other thing from this weekend that could have been the not so, the player of the game, the not so obvious player of the game would be just Arkansas showing out with SEC there.
But I think when you look at it, when you look at what the top 4 people in the football program, you're going to start off with Hunter Yurachek.
Yeah.
Hunter Yurachek gets Arkansas.
Yeah.
Then you got Sam Pittman.
Yeah.
Sam Pittman gets Arkansas. Then you got Kendall Browse. I probably called him Art earlier. I'm bad about doing that. But you got Kendall Browse. You got Barry Odom. Both of them get Arkansas. And I think they all love it here. Obviously, I think eventually Browse is going to want to be a head coach.
Yeah, I think both of them will before long, but I think they're really enjoying what they're doing right now. And I think they're committed to these players that they've recruited, that they've trained, and we can lose them at any time, but man, and when these national media people, these people that, or at least the SEC media people that talk to, they sit down with Saban, they sit down with Kirby Smart, they sit down all these different schools and Kentucky, where things are going well right now. And they say there is something special here at Arkansas. And I don't think they're just saying that because they happen to be there that weekend.
No, I agree with you.
Saying that outside. In fact, Trey Biddy there was a guy Josh Pate from CBS, from CBS Sports. He came in, and it was his first time. And I watched this video of his podcast afterwards, and he said there is something special going on in Arkansas. He said that is a special place, and Sam Pittman's doing it the right way, and we're going to see special things from him.
I don't think Jeff Long ever truly got Arkansas.
No.
And I also don't think Belima ever got Arkansas.
No.
I don't think Morris got Arkansas.
Belima was a Northern guy. He was a.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you who else didn't get Arkansas. And some people won't like this. Bobby Trino didn't get Arkansas.
No, not at all.
This is like a more talented version of Houston Nutt Frank Broyles, in my honest opinion.
Oh, I agree.
And Frank Broyles is an icon. But Frank Broyles in his day was an icon. Frank Broyles got to be a bit of a dinosaur.
Well, and you're right. I think Juracek is a version of Frank Broyles that's kept up with culture.
Yeah, he gets it. He gets that there's a Twitter. This is the Twitter NIL generation.
But he has a respect for the tradition.
Yeah, he does. He truly gets it.
I mean, that's naming the court after Nolan, all the different things he's done. He has a respect, And
but here's the thing: he's pushed the right buttons too with his hires. At the end of the day, that's all anybody cares about. Do you get your hires right?
Well, and the thing is, he's got his hires right across the board.
Yeah.
Musselman was on Paul Feinbaum. And he's like, Musselman's talking about, he's talking about his basketball team and what he's looking forward to. He said, but hey, right now I'm looking forward to what's going to happen with football this season and what Sam Pittman's going to do tomorrow. It was on Friday.
Yeah.
And what Sam Pittman's going to do tomorrow against Cincinnati. He said, and not only him, he said, but our soccer team's playing really good right now. And our volleyball team's playing really good right now. These coaches, keep bragging on each other. Pittman was asked about, was it the softball coach that just got a new contract a couple weeks ago?
I think so, yeah.
And was asked about that. And he's like, oh, she deserves it. She's done so great. He's just, they have so much respect for each other.
Yeah, the synergy at Arkansas. I mean, you just look at it across the board. They're there to support each other. Mm-hmm. We didn't even bring up Kentucky a few weeks ago when you've got Calipari and I'm gonna break far on his name.
Stoops.
When you're having them, having a peeing contest between each other.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're a basketball school. We play football. I mean, yeah. Which there's nothing to go to Arkansas basketball game and seeing Sam Pittman there or football game. You got Musselman coming out throwing breakfast burritos.
Yeah. No.
All
right. We're about to run out of time here, Clint. But
sorry, I'm rambling, aren't I?
We're both rambling, I think.
That's what happens.
We're getting fired up. We're fired up about football, man. It's football season.
Yeah, it's fun.
So let's just say real quick, what's something that jumped out at you from just football in general? Okay. My first one, let me say mine first, because I know what yours is.
Oh, you know what mine is.
And yours is gonna play off mine very well. Okay.
Sure.
So mine is this. First of all, the SEC was 13-1 this week. Okay. They won all their games, and the ones that were the big time matchups, okay, all but one, were a SEC showed out. Okay. Bo Nix looked bad against Georgia.
You think that was Bo Nix or was it Georgia?
No, it was both.
Yeah.
It was a little more. It was more Georgia than anything.
Yeah.
But the SEC, look, look good. But here's the other thing, Clint. Do you know who? Just a reminder of how tough our schedule is. Just a little quick reminder. Do you know who Ole Miss starts the season off with?
I saw it and I can't remember.
Okay, they played Troy.
Oh yeah.
Okay, it's Troy, right?
Right, yeah.
ULM, it's whatever. Do you know who their second game's against?
Isn't it like Old Dominion or somebody like that?
No, UCA.
Oh wow, yeah.
So Ole Miss pretty much gets to start off the season with 2 practice games.
Yeah.
Arkansas gets to start off the season with Cincinnati and then follow that up with what is probably going to be, by the end of the year, an extremely tough South Carolina team.
Yeah, I'm happy we're getting South Carolina early in the year, because if you watch what Beamer did last year, they did this all season. Now, a lot of it depends on can he develop Spencer Rattler, but now you did say 1 loss, right?
Yeah, I did. And Clint, that was a game, as I was watching it, I was really thinking about you. I was thinking about you because here's what I know. We've been friends a long time.
Yes.
And I know we both have a disdain for LSU. We don't like them. If LSU was facing, let's say Satan,
I would probably pull for Satan.
you would be wearing a red horns and a tail.
Okay. I'd do that anyway.
Yeah. And as a preacher,
I'm sorry, I got you.
As a preacher, man, I wouldn't wear them on the outside, but I'd be wearing an undershirt. Okay. Yeah. So, but then they were playing Florida State, who has a coach my boy Big C's not a big fan of.
I'm not a fan of.
Now, I'm not a fan of him either.
I dislike him a little bit.
He didn't come to Arkansas.
Yeah.
But my boy Big C really isn't a fan of it. And so I'm thinking, who is Clint want to see win this game? This is one of those where you were probably rooting for an atom bomb, maybe.
I was on a plane, so I didn't get to watch 1 second of the game. But then I looked at my phone and I was like, holy crap. I couldn't believe it that LSU lost to Florida State. And it was in the state of Louisiana. It was in New Orleans. Now you brought something very, very important up while you were talking earlier that you probably didn't even think of.
What's that?
Okay, so LSU's record is now 0-1.
Yeah.
Florida State is 2-0. How big was that rental win they had in week 0? How big was it that they got to go out there and they got to practice against another team?
Yeah.
In LSU. Here's the thing. The 2 fakest coaches in fall college football. Fake.
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah. Norville is not going to win that many games. They may squeak into a bowl. Brian Kelly is as fake as it comes. He may recruit decent, maybe just cause me and you could go recruit decent in LSU.
Yeah.
I mean, it just that's the long and short of it.
Yeah.
But he's a fake individual. He came in trying to be a fake Southerner. And like I said with Reed Bauer, kids see through that.
Yeah.
Kids will either fight hard for you or they won't.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see, and so you're going to see if he can turn it around really quick. I don't think he can.
Yeah.
I think I've been on record saying I think it was a disastrous hire.
Yeah.
I think it's like you spent $10 million for that. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I mean, like you could watch Notre Dame play for Freeman. Isn't that the coach's name?
I think so. They played hard.
The kids were playing hard for him.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing their butt off for him. They lost to Ohio State, who's probably, but they looked like 2 top 10 teams out there that were playing hard to win a game.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Did I get off? Let me get off this. Let me move my pulpit here.
Yeah. That's right.
But I just think it was. it was two terrible coaches. Well, Brian Kelly's had a good career, but I think the advantages that are built into Notre Dame, because they pretty much do everything they can to make sure Notre Dame is good.
They have a national recruiting base.
You have a national recruiting base. You have your own television contract. You have so many advantages. And you're not having to go in living rooms and recruit against Alabama and Arkansas and Texas A&M. I mean, well, they are, but you see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's different. It's different, and he's going to have a much, much harder time. And I think he got his welcome to the SEC. Now, he may turn it around and shut me up. It wouldn't be the first time someone shut me up. Probably won't be the last, but I don't I think I just don't I never was a fan of the hire, and I think it's going to end up being a disaster. And by the way, I did do a little bit of research earlier because somebody posted this. It was Saturday Down South. And, you know, we look at Arkansas' schedule and being like, wow. And somebody had said, all right, here's who the remaining tough games were LSU 0-1. ... Brian Kelly in danger of missing bowl season 1 in season year 1. So they got to go. They got Mississippi State at home. Then they play at Auburn. Then they got Tennessee. They got to go to the Swamp. They got to play Ole Miss, Alabama, Arkansas, and A&M.
Wow.
I mean, that's just.
Well, the other thing of what I saw in college football, and I guess I'm focusing a little more on the SEC, is quarterback play is good in the SEC.
Right.
Even Vanderbilt has a good quarterback right now.
Yeah. And in football, you're only
Florida quarterback look good.
Yeah. And I thought we also, and by the way, I'm going to say this as well. I thought we protected KJ well. I thought the offensive line played a good game. He had a clean pocket. Somebody was saying like he was moving a lot, but that's Arkansas's offense. Okay, it makes why would you try to make a pocket when you have KJ Jefferson?
Yeah.
Don't make no sense. Sometimes KJ is his best when just the running lane opens up and he takes off.
Yeah.
So
all right. So Clint, what's your prediction on the South Carolina game?
31-14 Arkansas.
31-14. I'm gonna say 28-24 Arkansas.
Really? So you're picking a much closer game than I am.
Yes.
Now we got to stay up for this one because if we sleep on South Carolina, they will beat us.
Oh yeah.
Beamer's, they're very well coached.
Yep.
Very, very, very well coached.
Very well coached. And I'm afraid I'm worried they're going to get us on one special team somewhere. I hope not. But when teams emphasize it like Beamers do, he learned from his dad. When they play big games, that's what happens. So
and you know what? I would be worried about it, but I also think Arkansas does the same thing.
Yeah.
I think Pittman gets it. I don't think Pittman.
Yeah.
Pittman, I think it was Brian Kelly that he said, in my opinion, Sam Pittman's the best offensive line coach in college football.
Yeah.
But I think you see it going, but Beamer's probably the best special teams coach in college football, but Scott Fallon's pretty good too.
Yeah.
I think they've worked together. They're going to take it as a challenge, and it's going to be a fun matchup.
Yeah. All right. Before we go, Clint, I just want to talk about I didn't tell you about this, but I think you're going to be cool with it. In case you hadn't heard, want to send our prayers and just respects out to Ouachita Baptist University.
Oh, yeah.
They had a current football player. I think he played quite a bit. From what I understand, he may have taken a hit in the game or something like that, and then 2 2 days later died of an aneurysm. His name is Clark Yarbrough. When I was at Ouachita, Clint, we had and of course you played Division II.
Right, yeah.
And when I was there, we had a guy that was a football player that died drowning in Lake DeGray. And he was a backup, but he was a big personality on the team. And he may not have been a backup. I can't remember, but anyway, it hurt. It hurt the whole campus, and when you're a small school college like that, you're very, in places like Ouachita, they get the whole student body together once a week for chapel.
Right.
Okay. They do a lot of things to build community within that campus. And this guy was an RA, so he was an RA in the dorm. So he probably got to know guys a little more than some even, and so that's going to be Todd Knight, the coach at OBU, is a great football coach, but he's also a great man. And he dealt with Antoine's death years ago. Well, that was when he had first got there. And I can't imagine Clint as a coach having to deal with this a second time. So I really feel for him as a leader to have to lead through with these, to look in those young men's eyes as they try to practice this week and get ready for whoever they play. I don't know who they play. Ouachita's picked to do well this year. They're picked to be one of the best teams in the conference and all that. But I just can't imagine. And so it really, whether you're a fan of them or not, it makes you want to root for them. Anyway, well, Clint, it's been a fun one. Hogs getting ready for South Carolina. Let's go. Let's take them.
Yeah, let's have another good game next week, and hopefully we're back on here celebrating another big W.
That's right. Like, share. Please share. Please share. Please. Hey, please share.
Hey, you share.
Please share. We're on Apple Podcast. We're on all those other places too. We love you, fans, listeners, watchers. Thank you so much. We are out. Go Hogs.
We're big.
Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Listen, that's why I sweat when I work. My hands get filthy down in this dirt. Won't see no harvest till I hurt. Crying, your kingdom come. Listen, I wake up in the morning, I bow my head to pray. Mama told me if I don't, ain't nothing gonna change. These prayers breaking up hard ground so I can sow the seed. Ain't afraid of no aches and pain. Lord knows I gotta follow his lead. That's why I sweat when I work. My hands get filthy